Hey guys, Pedro, nice to see you. I think we've got Evan coming in also. We got Jim here right now, and we are a couple of minutes after the hour, so I want to get rolling and be respectful of Jim's time. And if other guys kind of join us on this, we'll let them in as we roll here. So let me close that out. Awesome. Put that in the corner. Put this over here. All right, welcome to Midlife Mail. I am really excited to sit down with Jim Curtis today. He is a profound voice in the wellness world who has transformed adversity into purpose. We met briefly at Jen Cohn's house a few months ago. We were both recording episodes of her podcast. I wish I could stick around and have heard exactly what you guys discussed, but I immediately looked you up, checked you out. I was like, this guy's doing some really, really extraordinary stuff out there. Contending with a spinal condition from your early 20s to guiding others towards emotional freedom through hypnotherapy and spiritual work. You've channeled healing into powerful teachings and as a sought after transformational coach, author of, how do I pronounce, is that the Stimulati?
Yep, that's right. The stimulus
Okay.
experience.
Stimulati experience and shift and a leader in the intersection of science, consciousness, and real world living. Jim brings a unique perspective, especially for men navigating the midlife journey. And let's dive into his personal path, philosophy of healing, and what all of us midlife men can learn from his journey towards true transformation. Jim Curtis, welcome.
Oh, thanks so much. And by the way, that was an excellent introduction. So whoever wrote that, I'm assuming it was you. I'd like to get you writing for me.
I am happy to. Thank you. And I will say, no AI. Okay.
Right. Right.
One of
Oh,
our
that wasn't.
midlife male mantras is right now, hey, longer form content, no AI, keep the imperfection, keep the nuance. Okay.
Wow, that's impressive. That wasn't ChatGPT. That was your brain power. Very good.
You know what I do? Actually, I get in my car and
Yeah.
I open my voice memo app and
Mm-hmm.
I just talk is what I do.
Awesome. Yeah.
And it takes me about 6 or 7 blocks or laps kind of around. And then
Mm-hmm.
I do ask an app to translate it for me. And then I play around with what sounds right in
Oh,
that.
that's amazing. Awesome.
We all have a process to that. Jim, I'd love to start with your journey. What do you remember? I think you'd written that your initial diagnosis was around 22 years old in there, and I was
Yeah.
curious how that experience influenced your path into wellness and ultimately coaching.
Yeah, interesting. Because I was never diagnosed, and I was always searching. And so my kind of personality was always kind of searching as well. So I was always looking for what the answers were, what the truth was. And it's kind of funny, like there is no truth. You'll never find, like, it's the same thing with spirituality in life. You're never going to find the answers. So it was a real test for me because I was looking for a diagnosis for why I was feeling so badly, and there was no diagnosis. So I had to live with the uncertainty and the unknown, and that really defined the rest of my life.
Mm,
But it also defined me in the sense of I was a trader. I got out of college and became a trader on the American Stock Exchange, where I spent kind of my formative years learning um, just finance and options trading. And I traded a company that was called On Health, and it later I went to work for them and became WebMD, and we brought that company public, and then a number of other companies like that, Everyday Health and Health Central and Remedy Health Media, kind of did the same thing. And I just realized that as I was coaching the teams that I led, and I was coaching myself through this kind of health issue as I was creating health technology websites, that I was particularly suited for coaching one-on-one. And then I knew that if I wanted to really get in touch with what was the main control of my life, which was my subconscious mind, that I needed to speak directly to it. And
mm,
so I started to go to hypnotherapists, and I was amazed because there was a blackout in New York City. I remember I couldn't walk 3 blocks. I really had such trouble walking, and I couldn't walk 3 blocks. And then there was a blackout in New York City, and there were no streetlights. You've never seen the city that is always so bright, completely dark. You couldn't see in front of you. and there was no way to get home, and I was 4 miles away. And I just said, well, I'll walk. And thank you for that hypnotherapist because I walked 4 miles home. It did take me 4 hours, but I made it. Um, and I credit that. And so I started to say, how can I do this? And I went to school for it, etc. Fast forward, I burned out on the VC kind of tech startup world, and decided to work with people one-on-one. And it really found that to be my purpose. And now I do groups and all sorts of things.
Mm. You mentioned that when you didn't get a diagnosis, what you've been searching for, searching for diagnosis, searching for truth, and you don't necessarily ever find it. How did that define you? Like again, then how did you look at yourself and how did you define yourself in your situation and circumstance?
Yeah, well, it defined me because I had to get a hold of myself. I had to get a hold of my anxiety because all our subconscious mind, all we want is certainty in life. That's really all we want. We want to know, and because that keeps us safe. And part of our subconscious mind is all it does is, especially our ego, projects into the future, so that it can keep us safe and so it can start to predict patterns. And when you don't know, then you can be lost in this uncertainty, which creates a lot of anxiety. So it defined me because I had to get really comfortable in not knowing. And how do I live my life despite these progressive symptoms with not knowing what it was or how to treat it? Because there, there was no other option. So my identity became someone who could emotionally regulate myself, and therefore I could get into a state where I could emotionally regulate others.
Mm. It's interesting because I was listening this morning to Rich Roll, and he was doing one of his roll on podcasts, and he was talking about he's 90 days out of surgery, right now.
Mhm.
He had big back surgery, and
Yeah,
really all he can do now is walk, kind of. That's what he's saying. He's 90 day, and now he hasn't even started physical therapy yet.
yeah,
And I was reading this article uh, later this morning about Jason Redman, who's this former Navy SEAL who basically lost the use of his arm. He basically got blown up,
yeah,
in a firefight. And what he was talking about, and both of them to a certain extent, were talking about kind of redefining what elite means now. Like, how can they be the like I can't be Jason's like, I can't be what I used to be. And Rich is like, I'm an athlete, but I'm no longer the ultra Iron Man guy. Like, I'm just not there right now. So the question becomes, how do we look at ourselves? Like, what is the elite version of me? Look.
yes, I love
I just
that.
thought it was really fascinating. They're like, hey, the goalpost has moved in either direction, but like, what does elite look like for me?
Really interesting. I had dinner at Rich's house a few months ago, and then I wrote him a note saying, "Listen, let's do some hypnosis for your recovery." I don't think it resonated. We never did it, but that is really interesting, and I can relate that to my own life too, because I think that I'm elite, meaning like I'm still walking. Right? And I'm in the public eye, and like I have to overcome my ego every time that I see myself on a video limping or with a cane, and like, oh, and I'm still making it happen. And sometimes it's like painful to get out of bed, but I'm still getting out of bed and exercising and doing my thing. And isn't that elite? And all these people with multiple sclerosis that like really every day have to focus on how they can move their legs or how they can overcome the inflammation in their body or how they can like meditate and live life. That's elite. That's a great way to think of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What is hypnotherapy? So before we dive right in, I don't know really anything about hypnotherapy. I don't know anything really about hypnosis. I hear the word hypnosis and I think almost like magic show. Like, okay, you're gonna dangle something in front of me, take over, and I'm gonna say some really weird stuff, right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I was talking to someone last night that said basically the same thing. And like, so I kind of coined this phrase now, hypno coaching. So there
Mhm.
are a lot of coaches in the world, right? And so we talk about behavior change, and we say all these things to do as a coach or as a leader or as a mentor, and then people either do them or not. But with hypnosis, you can actually get into the behavior change um, based on past beliefs. So there are stage hypnotists who can call you up on stage. They usually look for the person who's most hypnotizable, and then they can put you under so deep that like you act like a chicken, and then when you come out, you don't know what you did. And and there are very few people in the world. A really great stage hypnotist will look through the crowd and see like which person is already kind of um, dozing off, so that they can see, oh, that person will be this. And so it's an act. Hypnotherapy doesn't want you to get deep, meaning I don't want you to be unconscious. I want you to be at a low level of trance where it's therapeutic, that I can give you a suggestion that you are able to receive because it's a greater state of focus, as opposed to meditation, which is like, here's another thought, let it go. Here's another thought, let it go. In hypnosis, we can get to a deeper state of focus where you're just kind of hyper focused on the words that I'm saying at that time, but not out of control in any way.
Is that what you call like a hypno realization? Is that what you're
Yeah.
referring to?
Yeah, when I talk about hypno realizations, so there are manifestations, right? And so manifestation says I can identify what I want in life, and we're manifesting all the time. I can identify what I want in life, and all the manifestation coaches say, feel what you want ahead of time, and then go out and take action to get it.
Mm,
And I believe that we manifest what we assume we are. So if from a childhood we have this assumption about ourselves, or a parent said money doesn't grow on trees, or those neighbors, the rich ones, or we have an assumption about ourselves, what we're capable of, right? A hypno realization will say, oh, we realize that we're operating based on beliefs that are not real, right? Beliefs aren't real, they're just a thought and emotion. So once we realize that that belief is not real, and that it could be completely opposite if we were programmed by our parents in a different way, once we have that realization, the assumption changes of what we can accomplish, and then everything changes.
mm. I want to ask you about this notion of manifestation because I think some people get this wrong. Also, I might be getting it wrong, which is I think that manifesting is to be thinking about all these things, to create it, I guess, to manifest it in your mind of these things you want to be doing or you want to happen. But the second part, which you alluded to, which is, I think, the really important part, which is the doing it, like to manifest or something, isn't it really to like do like with your hands? Actually, it's the doing part. It's not just the thinking part. What's your, I guess, advice and experience with taking people from that notion of, okay, you're just thinking about things that you want. It might be a better job. It might to be a happier person or to get in better shape or be better with relationships, whatever. And then not missing that next step, which is you just thinking about it. Like hope is not a strategy. Just
Yeah, yeah,
manifesting it
yeah.
in your head is not going to be enough. How do we get into the doing?
Yeah, hope is actually, overrated. Yeah, hope keeps you hoping always. So here's the idea that we talk about these like spiritual gurus or whomever it is that's like this kind of magical manifestation. But the reality is we're manifesting everything in our lives. We created this reality in our life, which is whatever it is. Look at the results of your life, whether you're in shape and you're in love, or you're making money, or you're not. You've manifested both sides of it. So manifestation comes from our assumptions about who our identity is and what we're able to receive. Right? So if you want to make a change, right? I want to manifest something different. One, you have to become hyper aware of what it is, right? When I ask you, what do you want? Or I ask my groups of people, what do you want? Some people are like, I want peace and love in my life. And I was like, that's not a thing. Like, that's an emotion, that's a state. You can have it right now if I give you something to think about that's peaceful or loving. But like, what do you want? If it's a house, I want to know what the interior looks like. If it's a person, I want to know what it looks, feels, and what you're doing with them. So that's the first part. Like you said, exactly right. The second part is we have a reticular activating system that says, I will go out and find those things that I set my attention to, right? I talk about this like the Amazon effect. If you're shopping on Amazon.com, you're probably buying 100 products over and over again, but Amazon has 169 million products. So you don't know they even exist until you have a different focus to go find them. That's what your reticular activating system does. So now you have to set your focus, open up your awareness, and then if you're just journaling about it or creating your mood board or creating your vision board or just telling all your friends about it, maybe you get lucky. Something just shows up at your door. But you have to go out and take some action, like real action, like real go out and put yourself in the place to succeed.
Are some people unhypnotizable?
Hypnotizable.
Unhypnotizable. Thank you for the question.
Everybody's hypnotizable, right? So some people, the majority of people couldn't get up on stage and act like a chicken and not remember. But we are being hypnotized all day, every day. You ever go for a long ride when you're driving, like and the highway's open and there's no traffic? You talked about how you kind of think of your ideas. You're getting in a state of trance when you're driving and talking, and that's why you can flow with your ideas so well. Or when you're driving the highway and you miss your exit because you've just been like listening to the music or deep in thought, that's a state of hypnosis. The biggest times that we're hypnotized every day is when we're scrolling on social media or we're watching TV. Those lights and changing images and then scrolling, 100% a state of hypnosis. And before you know it, like an hour has gone by. That's how you know that when time dilation, meaning you think it's 10 minutes and an hour has gone by, you know you're in a trance. The problem with those things are you become super suggestible when you're in a trance because you've removed your crit. So if we have our conscious mind, then we have our critical layer and then our subconscious mind. The critical layer is evaluating everything someone says, aligning it with your belief system, and then either dropping it into the subconscious mind as a belief or not. When we are under a trance, we can use a little hole in the critical layer so that we can get and make changes in our subconscious mind. The problem is that when we're listening to or scrolling through social media or the TV, it's a bunch of flashing lights that we get in a trance and then we are inundated with suggestions that may not be for our highest good.
So should we really be limiting this? Like, do you have a standard around like, do you stay off of it? Do you limit it? Like knowing what you like,
No, I love to hypnotize myself. I do self-hypnosis. I do all the stuff. So I just make sure that like in my social media feeds or like if I'm on TikTok, like, by the way, the algorithm is it isn't about likes and views and all that stuff. It's about the first 3 seconds. So if you watch a video, they serve videos based on your 3 second threshold. So if in your algorithm for social media, you land on a video and watch it for 5 seconds, they're going to serve you more of those videos. So what I do is if there's something that's negative or like I don't want to get down that rabbit hole, celebrity news, I don't know what it is. I just get off it really quick and I start like really watching, your stuff, the Rich Roll stuff of the world, anything that's a positive suggestion for my mind, and it just gets more of that, and that's how I control it.
interesting. In your books and even in your work, you explore a lot about transformation. Are there themes and tools that you feel are most essential for somebody who might be trying to reinvent themselves? We see a lot of that in middle age with men especially. They say,
Hmm.
"Hey, I need to reinvent myself or quit my job and follow my passion," or
Yeah,
you know, time for transformation and how much time do I have left? To
right. Yeah, especially after 40, right? And then all of a sudden at 50, you're like, right?
check, check. Yeah, now I'm on to 53,
Yeah, yeah. It's like
Now it's
40,
like
where are
time
my
for transformation.
friends? 50, who the hell, what am I doing? Like, and now you got, so I've experienced that and kind of a lot of people have.
How
So
old are you, by the way? Sorry,
I'm
before you answer.
50. I'm 50.
Okay, you're 50, I'll be
Yeah.
53. Okay, got
Yeah.
it. My wife is 56, and now I start thinking about like I'm thinking about 60 more than I've ever thought in my whole life before. So,
My father's 95. Greek has good genes. My father's 95 and he's in better shape than I am, but every time I'm with him, I'm like, boy, time goes by fast. How can I make the most of this here and now moment?
Mm.
So I think one of the biggest things that it's someone who's here's for the person who's just starting out, really getting a realization that none of this is real. We've created it all. So we start to think that we are our identity. I am this man that does this job, that makes this money, that has this wife. And it's like, oh, that was programming. We created that reality. And therefore, if we created it, we can uncreate it and create a new reality. So the biggest point of being stuck is really believing that this thing is the absolute truth, where it's not, right? If you had done something different, you could have something different. You think something different and you put an intention, you go out and have something different. So the biggest breakthrough that I have with people is to say, those are just thoughts. And you don't have to believe every thought you have. And those are just emotions. They're going to leave you in a second. In this life that you created, that you think you're an accountant or an athlete or whatever it is, that is also a belief. And beliefs aren't real, they've been programmed. So if you recognize all this, then you're like, oh, then I can literally just learn a new skill and apply it. And then when imposter comes up, because all my friends and family see me in this persona, this identity, I can say, I've changed my identity. And I've done this in my career from when I was in sales. I was in finance, and then I went to sales, and then I went to technology, and then I was like, screw it, I'm going to be a coach, and then a hypnotherapist, and then like and a social media personality. And are any of those untrue? Are those changes? No, it's my progression of life and how I wanted to fulfill my purpose. Right. And so that's the first part that I tell people, and that usually has a gigantic breakthrough.
Mm. So it's really interesting because it leads me to something that I've talked about a lot. Because a lot of people even say to me, like, oh, you've reinvented yourself. And I'm listening to you rattle it off. And I go, well, I know about that. In my 20s, I was a film producer, worked for Miramax and Harvey 30 years before the Me Too era. And I was producing films and following him all over the world. And then I had an entrepreneurial aspect and was doing other things in my 30s. And then I went and like, you went out of finance into all this stuff. Then I went back into professional services and insurance and risk management and built a traditional kind of company. And then we got out of this. And then in 47, I started writing and doing this. And people are like, hey, you've reinvented yourself. Like, have you reinvented yourself so many times? And a lot of what you're saying lands with me because I've kind of said, I haven't reinvented myself. I think what I've done here is just kind of released myself, meaning like these things were always there, always kind of who I am. I just decided it was okay to do them. Like it just didn't occur to me that you couldn't do them, overall.
Yeah, that's for I said the most successful people have flexibility in their thinking. Meaning like you didn't say like I am this identity and I have to stick to it. You had a through line of probably I'm flexible, I'm an entrepreneur, I have many interests, I can make money. Right? And so you had those awesome beliefs, and the results are what they are when you were able to go into many different industries and be successful. Right? Whereas that's a flexible mindset, a flexible identity with a true belief that I have confidence that I can figure out different things that interest me.
Mm.
So that's why it's possible. So I would agree, it's not reinvention, it is learning, exploration, and growth of the identity, the I am.
There's science and spirituality in your work and in coaching. And do you get clients that are skeptical, around this and even this word like a holistic approach? Like I'm still trying to define like like what is a holistic approach and is that like how do I approach I guess somebody that says they have a holistic approach and what am I supposed to do with this? What does that actually mean?
Yeah, I do get people who are skeptical, and yeah, that's all the same stuff. Um, I just changed the terminology. You know, if I have someone in finance that's never experienced any of this, I don't talk about quantum. I don't talk about source. We talk about conscious leadership, which is the same thing, right? We go deeper into uh, we go deeper into Marcus Aurelius and you know the practical nature of philosophy. And this idea of a holistic approach, I don't know what that means either. I think that that is kind of one of those woo-woo terms, but I think it's a mind-body approach that says we are more than this one thing. And as we can expand holistically into this mindset that we are more than this one thing, then we become so much more powerful.
So,
More,
what does a day look like for you?
the day looks like for me, I wake up and I go and get the dogs. There's three dogs, and I let them out.
What
Uh,
kind of dogs do you have? I always have to ask. Like, I geek out on all this stuff. I want to know
they're
like
all these
where you are, what kind of dogs you have, what do you
three
drive?
different kinds of rescue mutts. One is like part one is just I don't know what he is. He's just this little sweet hound. There's one's a little terrier, one has like some shepherd. They're just rescue mutts. And so I let them out, we play ball, I feed them, and then I get some coffee, and then I'll go into physical therapy, and then I start work.
So, do you do physical therapy every day? Is that your
I
form
do
of?
my physical therapy exercise every day, and then I have a therapist that comes in twice a week.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you have a certain diet that you follow or nutrition, or are you like a big
Uh,
supplement
my
guy? Where are you on the basics and biohacking spectrum?
yeah, I would say I am medium to low on the like if you and Jen call like I'm not shooting peptides, although I want to. But I
Me
am
neither.
yeah, I do the beamer, I do PMEF, I do ultrasound, I do red light. I will take a handful of supplements and then I just try to eat clean without gluten or, low on the carbs, that kind of thing, no sugar.
Mm. Midlife, where we're at right now, brings a lot of questions. Rediscovery, purpose, identity. What advice and experience do you have for men who are feeling particularly stuck and disconnected?
Um, Stuck and disconnected because you're feeling a lack of purpose, right? So if you no longer feel the purpose in what you do, or that you are contributing to something greater than yourselves, all of us, in particular men, we're here to serve. We're here to serve. So if we don't feel like we're giving a contribution in a way that derives purpose from us, then we're just stuck. We're stuck in a wake up, brush your teeth, relate to the wife or kids, or if you have them, or and then go to job or not, right? So my suggestion is switch it up, right? Switch it up and start to see where can you contribute. So when in doubt, focus out. Focus out and say, where can I make an impact for someone else? Because I know that I'm going to feel purpose when I'm in service. And then things start to change.
When Now I'm going to push you a little bit on the how, because I think again where guys get stuck on that part is okay, when in doubt, okay, push out, go out. Like, is it I think a lot of guys go, I don't know how. Again, I've been getting up, go drinking my coffee, letting my dogs out, going to work. I don't even know how to get out there. Is it as basic as if I'm interested in a cause or I love dogs, like getting out there is Googling an organization to go meet some people or get on the board or do something like, is it as simple as that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think with guys, and it was my issue that I had a very small circle. And I wasn't meeting any new friends. And I was kept saying, my goal this year is to meet new guys my age and my interests that I can have male friendships with. And then I said that for like 10 years straight. So my biggest thing was, okay, how do I get out of my insular, lonely kind of thing and go out and meet people? So me being a little bit introverted, what that really just took is finding something that I was interested in, whether it was rescue dogs or whatever it is, and going to a meeting or a group or something, and then actually speaking with people. Or I would go to a Joe Dispenza event and find the guys that I resonated with, get their phone numbers, and actually connect with them when I was back instead of just flaking. Or I would go to, I went to Hoffman and I would actually go to some of the Hoffman meetups and I met a great guy and we became friends. And then I would ask my girlfriend, like, do you think that, so and so that, like we could have like a guys. And so, and then what they were interested in, I'd say, oh, maybe I could do that. And so there's a little bit of networking for your life.
Hmm. I think it's so important that that stuff gets out there because it seems, again, like it seems simple and technically it is simple, hard to do. And I talk to guys a lot too. Like you have to put yourself out there in a lot of ways. Also, you've got to make the time. You've got to actually budget for it if that's a thing too. Like, hey, you got to go where the people are that seem like the ones that you want to be friends with, the ones you want to be around and get yourself into those situations. And sometimes, like you said, that networking, or whether it's networking or whether it's sweat working, and I like to do a lot of it through physical activities or mornings and
Yeah.
evenings. Again, okay, and if I go to this event and it does cost this amount of money or time, is it, do we think these are good investments? Again, of our time, of our money, what's the return we're looking for? And I agree with
Hmm.
you. I think it's really challenging for guys. Evan, you wanted to ask a question, so I want to pause for a quick second and let you ask the question, did you?
Yeah, that's okay. So first, Jim, thank you so much for coming on. I've been following you for a couple of years now.
Hey,
I'm utterly shocked we don't have more guys on here because they're really missing out. You're a gem. So
thank
this is
you.
awesome. I was really stoked to see you on today. Secondly, I did a major pivot about 2, 3 years ago to commit to a life of service and meaning and impact. In the past 2 years, I've invested heavily in that financially, with regards to work and time and effort. And I have had an avalanche of challenges. This has been probably the most difficult year of my life,
Mm.
in a stabilizing way in pursuit of this service as well. And a lot of guys, we have to deal with challenges, right? Uh, Especially guys in this type of circle. We're no stranger to challenges and overcoming difficulties. This year has been more than would have ever been able to comprehend. So, because this is the title or the premise of the call is releasing blocks, what tool or advice would you offer to someone who's really going through a lot of challenges that it's easy to to let go a few things, but when you're really dealing with a mountain of challenges, what tool would you recommend utilizing to help kind of just not let yourself get overwhelmed with anxiety of being hit at so many different directions?
Yeah. Without knowing what you're going through, and I love the way that you call it challenges instead of like these goddamn issues. Yeah, I really like that point of view where these are like challenges to a better life. Because once you overcome the challenges, guess what's happened? And so, what I say to myself to get into alignment with what I want is simple sayings, right? And one of them is this idea of building confidence that I'm on the right path. Because if you believe in spirituality or this this field that the scientists have found that deliver things, um, is that when you're confident that you can get into alignment with it, then more comes. And so, one thing that I constantly say to myself, and it created such peace inside me, and I felt myself moving ahead, is I'm divinely guided. I'm divinely guided. And then I start to think about, okay, if I do believe that I have a soul, and I do believe that my soul has kind of identified this life for me and these obstacles that it wants to overcome so it can experience this, then I'm not doing it wrong. I'm doing it right.
I believe that these are all happening for me and not to me,
But it's still
as part
hard.
of,
And so
but
the
it's
third
great.
part, right, exactly. So the third part is, when it's really hard like this, right? That's when the action, the perseverance comes in. And oftentimes what I've found most in my life that when thing is, and it sometimes it lasts a little bit longer than we'd hope, but when things are really hitting the fan, like I thought that I was healthy and now my ankles don't work and there's so much pain in my body and I lost a bunch of money and I broke up with my girlfriend. Like I know that when shit's really hitting the fan, when I'm ready to hit rock bottom, it's because I'm ready to spring forward. And it may not be tomorrow, it may not be next week, but yeah, there's no other way to go but change and forward. And so that's what I've found in those situations. So I just hope that, I get it that you feel what you feel. And I'm pulling for you.
Oh, thank you.
What are the differences that you see, Jim, between men and women? And even if we want to break it down more like specifically middle-aged men and women. And I mean,
Yeah.
menopause has become such a big thing. I feel like we're seeing like middle-aged women are all grouping together and they're all in the like menopause is everywhere. They're big giant groups of women talking about everything, this stage of life. We're
Yeah.
kind of being left to the side, about like
Yeah.
our little midlife thing or whatever is going on. And you work with a diverse group of people, but what are the differences that you see in particular? Are there common threads or themes between?
100%. So what I'm finding is that, and I have who join my groups and do my coaching, it's about 80 to 85% women, and then there's the men that come.
Why do you think that is off the bat?
Well, I
There's big
think that
disparity in those percentages.
yeah, I think women are more open to spirituality because and like this, you know, that's with me because I go more of a spiritual route, and I think that women are more open to it. You go to Tony Robbins, who's doing hypnosis and NLP and mindset, and you got a great, got more men. And Joe Dispenza has maybe 50-50. So it's not that men don't do it. I think women are ready to nurture and to be nurtured more readily, where men have always been like, you have to be strong. And if it's like, Tony telling you to get out there and take action and go do it and like you control that resonates more as opposed to the vulnerability of okay, let's let's um let's feel the pain and like nurture each other. I think men are just different in that way. But when we can allow that, then there is a real opportunity to grow and emotionally. So I think that's one way that women and men are different. And there is more, I find, although there are men's groups, etc., I find that strangers, people who don't know each other, get into a call, and the women immediately nurture, especially midlife, immediately nurture and bond quicker.
Mm.
Yeah.
What do you think about how guys find the right people to work with, whether that's a group, whether that's a coach, whether
Mhm.
again that's a holistic approach or somebody who takes like a harder stance on things. I think one thing, yes, women are more open to try things and get in there. I think for men, they're either asking a friend, or they look at things online. And quite frankly, we tend to make a lot of mistakes because we really don't know how to go out and find what it is that we're looking for because we never
Yeah.
really want to be truthful, almost and honest and anybody. Hey,
Yeah.
here's what I'm going through. Here's what I'm looking for. How do I find the right one? So we just kind of poke around, and then we get a lot of stuff wrong. And then by the time we're ready to get it right, we're either out of time, out of money, or
Yeah.
oh man, we've squandered some moments and opportunities. What's
Yeah.
what's your advice on how to find the right person or group? I mean, you talked about Hoffman, you talked about other things, and I've
Yeah.
done a lot of these things too.
Yeah.
Some I liked and I would do again. Some like, not really my thing, in there.
Yeah.
Aside from just trial and error, I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah. I think that, we have to really be open to asking for recommendations, right? And we have to be open to sharing what our issue is fully and saying, what do you recommend? Where should I go? And that takes some vulnerability because we have to be able to say, this is what I'm dealing with. Where do you think I should go? Where, women are giving their recommendations all the time. You almost have too many of them. And so that's when I wrote a book about, kind of figuring out my health issue. And I would ask people and say yes to everything and go. But I think, people, we find things on Instagram now and we're like, oh, I'm going to try that. But if we were to cultivate more friends in a men's group or whatever it is, and then really be vulnerable enough to ask for the recommendation to do it and to research it, then I think that, that's you guys all know this. That's like the thing that we need to do more of. But I just need 1 minute. Is that okay if I step away for one
Absolutely, take
minute?
it. Sure
Okay,
thing.
I'll be
Take
right
it.
back.
Okay. And Pedro, I was going to queue up you for the question next as soon as he gets back on this.
Sure. Greg, do you
Greg, how
mind?
did you connect with Jim? He's a real catch, man.
Yeah, like I said, I was doing Jen Cohn's podcast in LA called Habits and Hustle. My episode hasn't come out with hers yet. I don't think Jim's has come out either. And as I was leaving, he was coming in to record. So we all just like Jen introduced us. He was walking in, I was walking out, and said hello, took a picture, kind of thing. Like, hey, what do you do? Who are you? That kind of stuff. Literally 5-10 minute conversation, and I just exchanged our information. I looked him up, started following him. I thought his work is really interesting. He's a really interesting guy, and just shot him a message and said, hey, would you come on? So this has been um, like maybe a month or two, of trying to coordinate on a date, there too. Had a date. Okay, I got to reschedule. Had a date. He had to reschedule. Okay, now we're doing it. The double-edged sword of all of this is, you want great people, you want to be accommodating to their schedule and everything else. So when you get them, boom, quickly fire out an email. Guys can join, get them, terrific. And that's why we just put them up in the app, and now we're putting them on YouTube and doing this.
Awesome.
So so yeah, that's how it happens. And I reach out to people all the time, man. And sometimes I get crickets, sometimes they say yes. I've been really fortunate that fortunately we haven't had a lot like I don't typically get no show. Like people that say yes typically follow through, which is really nice, on this. Um, and that's how we do it.
Cool.
Sorry about that, guys.
No worries. Well, welcome back. Pedro had a quick question. We're coming into the
Yeah.
home stretch, and then I got a few right here. So, Pedro, I'll open it up for you real quick.
Jim, great meeting you.
Hi, Pedro.
Listen, fantastic content. My question is around something that I experienced in my own practice during the integration process. So, as many folks within Greg's inner circle know that I run a psychedelic sanctuary here in South Florida, very tailored to really uncovering the root cause of what's going on with individuals, and also complementing that with very robust clinical focus and outcomes.
Awesome.
So it's really amazing. We feel very humbled to be doing this work. So on a daily basis, even today, working with clients, the word transformation comes up. But for transformation, the need for discipline and self-control feels like a natural component to that. And based on your work and what you've been doing, I'd love to get your perspective on some real tools to share with folks on how to incorporate discipline and self-control. Because I work with a lot of somatic modalities, right? Contrast therapy. We use equipment called the shift wave to regulate the nervous system, float therapy to get into that trance state. So a lot of somatic stuff. But what
Yeah.
else can I do to give someone more tools in their toolkit to be more disciplined?
Yeah, well, what I'm hearing, they have all these tools, right? But you have to have the discipline to be able to go and use them. That's what kind of hearing. Like we all know how to, to research what to do and what to find, and there's so many opportunities for all this stuff out there. It's just how do we get off our phone and computer and actually get into the car and go and do it. And so that to me is the science of motivation. And the way that I do that with people specifically is I use some NLP tactics that show and get them familiar with the worst possible outcome. Um, because we are mostly motivated by fear and pain. And we could have the most wonderful benefit, and move towards it slower than we move away from fear and pain. So then I identify, like, if you don't do this, um, if you do not do this, and your life persists as it is, unhappy for another year, how does that feel? And what are you doing? And I really get them in tune with that. And then I go 5 years, and now this still hasn't changed for you. This issue is persisting and getting better, but now you're 5 years down the road, and now you're 10 years down the road. And how long do you want this to ruin your life, or to whatever it is? I get people really uncomfortable, and comfortable with being uncomfortable. And then through often that one realization, people start to make those changes and be more motivated with discipline.
Mhm.
So you're asking, what it sounds like to me you're asking is for a specific tool, but mostly this is getting someone into an aha moment, because in an aha moment, everything changes, right? And that's the realm that I work in. So once you have your aha moment, your realization with me, you move on to somebody else that's going to keep you on track and give you your diet plan and your meal plan, and go to someone that you're going to listen to your meditations and do that work. But I work to get people from the point of stuck issue, I've been dealing with this forever, to, oh, and then all of a sudden it's easier. And so what I use to do that is self-hypnosis, hypnosis, NLP, and kind of the talk of what could be potential, so that they feel an emotion, and that emotion either becomes so uncomfortable they have to do it, or it's so motivating that they're excited to do it. Is that helpful in any way?
No, it is really helpful because to get to that aha moment takes a lot of navigating those conversations. And I feel like it would be amazing for my clients to have some sort of self-hypnosis that they can do when they're not with me, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I think that would also be helpful. And I'm going to ask for some recommendations at some point here, where if you have any books, any authors, any podcasts that could be of value, would be great to hear those. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm always about empowering people where they
Yeah.
don't have to rely on me, essentially.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're doing that psychedelic experience, which creates such an amazing shift, and it's such an amazing emotion, and that they want to go make a step, and then like a few weeks goes by, and they start to kind of forget a little bit, and they may slack off. So if there is a reminder that is an audio that they listen to for 10 minutes, not a meditation, but an audio every day, that's either a reminder of what they're avoiding or what they're achieving, then I 100% agree that, kind of as part of your protocol, you give them that.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You mentioned aha moment. You get your clients to an aha moment, and then do you hug it out and just send them on their way, like you were saying? Okay, and like,
Kick
all
them
right,
right out the door.
okay. So, in terms of even engagements, with you, do you find that there's a typical, like, almost a certain amount of time, or again, is everybody different? Or again, when we get to that moment, here is the next phase. Now I'm sending you out. Like, you can
Yep.
always come back, or do things.
You can always come
However,
back.
but like, there is I think with coaching to an extent, it's kind of a finite relationship. I don't consider it an infinite relationship. And also, we need different types of coaches at different times of our lives. Also,
100%. Yeah, 100%. I'm not a therapist that's going to keep you paying your weekly money for 10 years without any real results. And I know that I'm not going to keep you on track with your eating or the gym, because I do that for myself, but I don't care about that for you, right? And like once I open your mind to the potential that you are not your body, and you're not your pain, and you're not your identity, that you are the higher energy, that you are actually the source, you are the reincarnation and the light, you are the I am, the ultimate, you are God experiencing itself. All I need to do is open that spark, and then you'll find 100 different guys that are gonna like from Ram Dass to whomever it is, you're gonna figure it out. My role as a coach is to snap you out of your pain and suffering. People come to me who are stuck and in pain. And so as I snap you out of that, it takes, people work with me for 8 weeks, once a week for 8 weeks. And they have such a dramatic change. It's not forever, but they have a dramatic transformation because they're now able to go on and open up all the other doors in their pathway. They're no longer held back by themselves, not alone, but being held back by their own attachment to their identity.
Mm.
So my groups, I do are month long. When I have groups of large groups of people or small groups, I do a month long, and then I do a 3 month long. And then if you're working with me individually, if it's over 2 months, if it's over 6 sessions, then you know we've either we're really close to a breakthrough or you need extra support. But usually I keep it to like 2 months.
Are you actively looking for new clients, both individually and in groups, or are you at this point like referral basis, or you curate your groups a certain way, or hey, like if you're this, these are kind of people I work for, but if you're not, like also like, hey, like,
Yeah.
I'm not your guy there. How do you go about running your practice now?
Yeah, so I'll offer groups like every other month, and these groups are, I'll split them up into different topics, and I keep them to 35 people because I have to be able to work with everybody kind of individually within the group and do coaching and that kind of stuff. And they're really fun and great. And people like, if it's more than 35 people, you're not making friends, you're not
Are they
connecting.
in person or virtual? Sorry. Or
They're
both?
virtual, and then people kind of split off and meet in person all over the world. And I do, and like we will do some vetting, but to make sure that you're in the right group. But anybody can join as long as you're either between 1 and 35 people in that month.
Mhm.
And then with my personal clients, it's by referral, and I keep it to 5 to 10 people a month. That's it, because it's kind of taxing, like I'm putting a lot of energy and effort into that person that I'm with, and I can't do more than one or two a day.
Mhm.
So, and I can take, 5 or 10 people a month, because I know that they're going to be with me for 30 to 60 days, and then there'll be new people coming in.
Mm.
And we stay friendly and we stay connected afterwards, but usually that's all people need.
Could you share one or two practical exercises or mindset shifts in the few minutes that we have left that maybe our readers or listeners could try, this week?
Yeah. I ask questions, and that's got a lot of it's NLP, neuro linguistic programming, I think, and hypnosis. I think those are the keys to everything. And if you think about the best coaches in the world, the number one most powerful person in terms of mindset shift, I believe, is Tony Robbins. Like I've gotten to work with him personally. I've gotten to all stuff like, and just watching the people. There's no other person that for the last 45 years has, without any issue, had more repeat customers and grown the base. And he uses NLP and hypnosis and talk. So it's about asking questions. And you can ask yourself questions that say, um, is what I'm thinking right now true? Because most of the things that hold us back are fear and anxiety. Fear of the past result happening again, anxious that the worst possible thing is going to happen. And so when we ask ourselves, what's true? Is that true? Is that happening now? And we start to question our thoughts and emotions more, then we can snap ourselves out of that state and say, okay, there's another option for me. And it's to focus on the best possible outcome. Because when I focus there, my inflammation of my emotions goes down, and then my focus on the result goes up. So if we're not questioning our thoughts and emotions, every thought is just a thought, and we have thousands of them, it's just a thought. It's not reality. And every emotion is fleeting, and we can change our emotions with our body movements and everything else. So those aren't real either. So what's the truth? And the truth is I create my reality.
Mm,
That is the biggest key. Question your thoughts and emotions. That creates awareness. The second part is we can easily talk ourselves out of something by giving ourselves, um, a subconscious pep talk. And so what I do is I visualize a stairway and I count backwards as I'm visualizing myself walking down that stairway from 10 to 1. And as I count backwards, as visualizing walking down that stairway, 10, I say deeper and deeper, more and more. And I let my higher voice, the one that listens and tell my thinking voice, the one that we listen to just relax.
mm,
10, 9, more and more relaxed. You can feel your body relaxing. You can feel your shoulders relaxing. You can feel your legs releasing. 8, 7, 6. And then you keep doing that progressive relaxation all the way down to 1. And then you allow yourself to say, just deep sleep or relax. And then from here, you can start to give the most powerful suggestions for our subconscious mind. And if you believe in this, the universe itself, as dictated by the Saint Germain and the I am um, discourses. Um, the suggestions start with I am.
mm.
I am healthy. I am well. I am complete. I am healing. I am aligned with wealth. And then in that trance state, even if it's very light, you start to reprogram with I am statements, and I've seen magic happen in my life with that. I we don't have time to tell it now, but the stories are like I've blown myself away with that.
Part two. Okay, we're coming
Part
back with bigger, longer stories
part
for
two.
part two. Uh, do you think about legacy, and looking ahead? You
Yes.
hope to leave through your work and what's next for you in your own journey to get to that legacy that you think about?
Yes. What do I want to be remembered by, and how do I want to impact people? I think about that. Um, so yeah, if I die, what will I want to be remembered for? And if I die tomorrow, I want to be remembered for helping people out of their pain and suffering. There are other folks that be like, I want to be remembered for, taking someone who's doing really awesome to like mega greatness. And I know what it feels like to be in pain and suffering. And I want to help people out of that. And that is everything that I do. Even my social media feed, if you look at it, and you may just say, like, what's another affirmation? But the tone of my voice, the cadence of my voice, everything that I say is without you even knowing it, emotionally regulating you. That then you go back into beta when you flip through some more. But in that 14 seconds, if you watch it, there's something speaking to your subconscious. And so that's what I want to be known for. And that's why I'm writing books and doing whatever I do.
Couple of fun ones for you because this stuff
Okay.
again is interesting. Okay, like I can't see your hands right now, but are you a watch guy? Saw a couple of bracelets. Like, are you a watch guy? You're not a tracker or anything, or maybe we'll
No.
keep it pretty simple over there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
who makes your t-shirt?
This is, I think, Rag and Bone.
Okay, uh, the glasses.
Uh, this is Amazon. I lose glasses, so I buy 20 of these cheap glasses at once that cost like $19. And I just
Okay,
all over the place.
and
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with skincare in my 50s right now as a guy who also is always in the sun and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Skincare routine, you
Caldera
got
Lab.
really good. Okay.
Caldera and Lab. I really like these guys, and not just because they hired me to do some promotion, but I really love them. They have awesome, awesome skincare.
I like them too. They've sent me a bunch of stuff. I've
Yeah.
been using the beard oil as well.
I
But
use the beard oil too. It smells great, doesn't it?
yeah, I do. I like their line. These are the things that I kind of,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
do you drive?
I drive a Range Rover.
Okay, you a car guy, you just like the Range Rover.
I love cars. I always have. Like since I was a kid, I had big posters of cars all over my walls.
What's the next place you're going? I know when we last spoke, I think you were out on Long Island for a little while.
Yeah, Long Island, Cape Cod, and now I'm in LA. And the next place that I'm going will be back to New York City, where I live in a couple weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jim, thank you so much. This is great. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks guys for joining. I hope this was beneficial in some way, and I appreciate you getting me on here and sharing kind of my stuff.
No, this is great. And I'll reach out to you. Anything you want to promote or tag or link to or everything for the full story when we get this up and into the newsletter and out there. So I appreciate you and your Greg being really helpful in getting this done. So thank you so much. And
Yeah.
guys, thank you for being here. And all right, have a great weekend. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks,
Same.
thanks,
Bye.
Greg.
You got it, guys. Take care.